Not yet, but I'm doing a couple. I'm doing some refreshes here. You're live now, yeah. It says right now. It says you made it. Live debate on spirituality with Taylor Smith starting in 8 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't have sound on the Twitch stream, but I can hear the music. I mean, I'll check. I can check for you real quick. Pizza bias, it seems like your sound alerts browser source is offline. Yeah, chat's coming online. It says, what is spiritual? Oh, I lost it. Yeah. What is spirituality? Live debate and chat with Taylor Smith. That's what it says. Yep. Pop out chat. Oh yeah, I got pop out chat now. This is what I need. Here we go. Oh, I think I'm your first subscriber. Look at that. I got a first badge by my name. How ballin' is that? I'm talking to Twitch or I'm talking to TikTok. Oh, what's up TikTokers? It's really I'm really hyped to be here. I mean, I'm feeling the energy, I'm feeling the love, I'm feeling the enthusiasm. You got me smiling, you got me laughing, and you know we're all in this together. So it's not like it's just me and Brandon here creating a stream. It's everyone involved, everyone that's there is a part of this, and I think that's like one of the coolest parts about coming together like that is that energy gets amplified and. Um, it just creates such a fun dynamic space where growth happens like exponentially fast. So I'm in. That's my TikTok hype train. All right, I got 2 minutes. All right, I'll be right back. All righty, 1 minute. See if I can make this chat bigger. What I realize is your YouTube chat strings over to Twitch. Well, it's great because I can just look at the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat comes through too. But I want to make the chat box bigger though. I'm trying to full screen. I'm ready, baby.
All right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. That was a botched introductory video. I realized it was a little bit out of a context, but forgive me there, and welcome to the live stream. I am so excited and so pumped up for today's live stream. And the reason why is because we have a amazing guest on here with us who's going to be popping on in just a second for this live stream. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the essence of what spirituality is in the modern age in 2021, why it matters, what it means to be a quote unquote spiritual human, or to have the essence of spirituality as an integrated part of your daily life. And the coolest thing about this that I feel, the reason why we got brought together was we are just two regular ass dudes, okay? we are two regular ass dudes who used to work together, our former place of work, who went through some crazy shit. And we're going to talk about all of that stuff. We went through some crazy experiences, some crazy shit, and it changed our lives forever. And I would not be the man I am today without this individual that's about to hop on. He probably, I would say, I won't speak for him, but maybe he wouldn't be the same individual that he is today. And we're going to tell all about it and how we went from just two regular ass biohacking, mentally driven, ego-based dudes to the people we are today, which I'd still say, for me at least, there's still a lot of ego running the show sometimes, but a lot less so. And what it means to step into your heart, the superpowers behind that, and how it can absolutely be a life-changing experience, not only for you, but for the rest of the world, to help you find a deeper meaning and why the hell we are here. So anyways, without further ado, please, everyone here on TikTok, everyone here on YouTube and on Twitch, calling in the higher guides and angels and loved ones and masters, and mostly Taylor Smith, to talk about the essence of spirituality. Please help me welcome Mr. Taylor Smith onto the live stream. Here we go. Taylor Smith, you are on the live stream, my friend. Welcome.
Well, thank you. What an amazing ushering in, to be ushered in with all the guides and masters all at the same time. I feel honored. I'm hyped. I don't know if people who just got on the stream, but we've been getting hyped for about at least 15 minutes with the chats and whatever, all the different things that Brandon has going. But I appreciate that intro, Brandon. I think you are nailing it. And I'm just excited to kind of dive in and share kind of the experiences this normal ass dude has been through. And then, to kind of affirm, like there's certain times where the ego is still running the show. And that's kind of, the dance I think that we're all playing, being on a spiritual path, being on a spiritual journey, is that dance of like, where is the ego still showing up, and how can I work with that, or heal that, or integrate that, or whatever you want to call it. So thank you. The blast of an intro, Brand. You should be a motivational speaker.
Well, thank you. And I'm laughing because I think there's a reason why I called in the guides and angels and you, is because you're like a master in your own right. I'm pretty sure that your soul is or was a master come into human form to talk to us about spirituality. And that's why it's an honor to know you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. The wisdom you have and the essence of your soul is really a powerful one. And I truly am excited, right, jokes aside, to have you on the platform to share your wisdom. And I think the world needs a chance to hear from you, your point of view. And I think it's very important. So just thank you for coming on. I'm really excited. Let's just start off with how the hell we met, so people have a basic understanding of where this comes from, and kind of that whole story. So if you want to take it away, how did we meet, and what happened there? How did all this come together?
Where to begin? Well, I mean, we officially first met at Bulletproof Labs when we both got hired on as trainers, or as the company would like to call us, biohacker techs, something like that.
Yeah, BHTs, biohacker techs.
But to keep it short, I mean, essentially, we were hired on to use, millions of dollars worth of technology to hack the human body and mind to enable elite performance. And, part of that was working together as trainers to, rigorously test all of these different pieces of technology to see like what works, what doesn't work, how can I hack my body to the extreme, how can I perfect my body to the extreme, and where that led is really kind of, I think, the story of this live show, it sounds like.
I think so. And for those of you guys, I think that was an amazing way to put it, Taylor. And I'm gonna bring it up to like level 10 of what it was, because imagine like two people, because you were fresh out of college, right? When you joined Bulletproof Labs, relatively.
I'd say like 2 or 3 years, yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Out of
Okay,
college.
same for me. I think it was like 1.5 to 2 years, something like that. But just two, imagine like two dudes, pretty fresh out of college, put into this space where there was literally millions and millions of dollars invested into this crazy ass equipment. Everything from like freezing chambers called cryotherapy to infrared laser lights to help you with healing and inflammation to meditation pods. And we're just like two kids in a candy store, like, oh my God, like all this stuff. And no one has ever built a business like this. And the whole point of it was to help with human performance, right? To help with human potential. And me and Taylor were really aligned in that we were obsessed with getting the most amount of performance and potential out of our human bodies. And it was this whole mindset of, okay, we need to figure out how to squeeze the most amount of juice out of every single cell of our bodies to perform at the highest level. This is where we were coming from. Those of you guys who know me, have been watching me for a while, it's changed a little bit, just a little bit from there. But it was this whole mentality of how can we perform better? But the whole problem with that was we didn't even know why we were performing better. Can any of you guys relate to that? Is like where we're like, you're trying to like edge up the performance of your body, your mind, and try to get all of what you can get out of it, but you have no idea why you're even doing that in the first place. And thus began the journey, for Taylor and I at least, of actually realizing that and doing what we needed to do to discover that what the point was of increasing our performance, of working on ourselves, of squeezing every last inch of potential out of ourselves. And we had to go on a quest. And that quest was to find out why we are here. Now, Taylor, what happened along the way? If you could describe, like, so we worked at that place, things like that. Describe your experience a little bit, and then how it shifted and what that was like for you.
Well, well, I would say at the very beginning, I had, just to put some background on this, I come from like an atheist family, not like strictly atheist, but no belief system at all. And so I came in very like nuts and bolts, like mechanical thinking, like, you know, can I put A plus B together and get C? And that's the mindset I came into Bulletproof with, is like, okay, how can I, research all of this technology and utilize it in a way that's like very beneficial to, myself really.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, do you want me to just jump right into like where it got interesting?
Yes. Let's go right there.
So I spent a lot of time, maybe like the first 6 months, doing a lot of like the physical stuff, and then come like the New Year's of some year, whatever year it was, 2018, 2017, something like that. I decided to go all in on the meditation aspects of the facility. And my intention was like healing my arm at the time, based on some book I read, but that's kind of ended up being irrelevant. But basically, I dedicated, a month to coming in and doing what was called the virtual float tank at the time, which just basically sends you into this like crazy deep meditation state, and you just spin around in this pod for like 30 minutes. But the owners of the company said that you could like completely rewrite your whole brain or whatever if you did 30 days or any like addiction pattern. So I was like, cool, I'll try that out. Like I was just in this mindset of like, let's just see what happens. And you know, that was kind of like the beginning of the end, in terms of I started to have experiences that were really beyond what I thought was real. And that was really like the door to like a really, really fast door
Yeah. Yeah.
into like, hey, like there's this whole other um, perspective of reality that you haven't been looking at, and here it is. Deal with it.
Totally. Totally. So it was kind of crazy how it all happened, because we had this, like Taylor was saying, we had this, I don't even know how much it was, but a lot of money, 50,000, I think, 40,000, I think it was, for this meditation pod that spins you around, puts you into theta state. And so, Taylor and I, being, relatively, curious but new to anything around that, didn't realize that, and I'm sure Taylor didn't realize, like, going into theta state, how many days straight did you do that for? That meditation?
30 days.
You did 30 days straight. How many hours each time?
Usually like an hour a day.
An hour, yeah. So 30 days straight. Just let me put this perspective. A $40,000 pod that is designed to put you into pure theta state within about 2 minutes of being in the pod. And this man did it for 30 days straight for an hour each session, and just basically through that blew open his entire life, his entire perspective on what was real. Well, let me ask you, T, like what for you shifted during those 30 days that you feel was so transformative that you can share with our audience here today?
I mean, for me, I guess, it was kind of a terrifying experience in hindsight. I just remember, I mean, there was other things going on too besides this meditation pod, but I would say that was like the initial catalyst.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of like followed after that. But I just remember coming in like to work and like, oh, I could just feel everybody's emotions, and not like, oh, that person looks upset or that person must be having a bad day, like facial cue wise, but like, oh no, I can feel like this person's emotional state, and it's pretty overwhelming, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the initial thing, and so I just got really like unsettled at the time, honestly.
Yeah.
I was like at the same time in like awe, right? And in this like having these moments of profound just like love, acceptance, and gratitude, but also just like terribly anxious and like freaked out about what the hell is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Taylor would come to me. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, if I was your only or main confidant at that time, but Taylor would come to me. Okay. And he would be like, hey man, I'm like going through this crazy, like I can feel people's emotions, and I'm like going in my heart and have all these experiences. And for me, I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like it's all about, I literally said, I'll never forget this. Since I'm like, screw the heart, like the mind is the most important tool that I can possibly have. Because Taylor was like, dude, you got to go into your heart. And I was just not on his level at that time, right? I didn't understand what he meant. And so imagine being in the middle of your workplace and still having to work with clients, right? Still having to continue working at a job, but having this profound, crazy, reality-shattering, awakening that Taylor went through at work. I mean, I couldn't imagine. But that's what he went through. What happened after that, Taylor, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I mean, so I don't remember the exact timeline, but I mean, kind of simultaneously during that year. Oh yeah, this is what happened. This is part of what happened.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine right before New Year's introduced me to the idea of like pick a word for the year and like embody that word for the year, because like I never really got into New Year's resolutions. I figured like I'll just be working on being a better person all the time. But they were like pick a word, so I picked the word surrender, and so I might have taken it too far in hindsight, or just right. I guess I took it just right, but in hindsight,
it was perfect.
Give me a do-over.
It was perfect.
I basically just said yes to everything that showed up, and at that time, I got into like a very deep heart-centered meditation practice, through a company called HeartMath that we worked with. But I also was doing, I also got introduced into like psychedelic mushrooms, so that was definitely like a part of the experience. But I want to just always be cautious of how I talk about that aspect of the experience, because to me the experience is well beyond like anything you can experience on any sort of like plant journey, for lack of better words.
Yep.
And that's really where I've arrived now, is like, oh, like who we are, what we are, and our true nature is beyond any experience, and you don't need anything to take you there.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. But at the time, and I think this rings true for both you and me, psychedelic mushrooms specifically were really, I would say, very important stepping stone or tool in order to kind of bridge that gap, right? To see what is possible, to see the truth. But yes, I would agree with that caution to not go too far or think that you need that to stay in that type of energetic state. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, with a thought that came to me, and I've thought about this before, is like, for me, they were showing me that, oh, there's a whole way to perceive that's beyond what everybody is like. I shouldn't say everybody, but what is typically like thought to be normal.
Yep.
And to me, they were more of like a, hey, there's something beyond what you're looking at,
Yeah.
like. But really, the message was go find that without needing anything to take you there, right? Because
Totally.
you're already there.
Totally. Yeah. It's almost like for me, it's like the way I look at it is there, and it's been uncovering itself more and more lately. But that other reality that exists, or higher realities that exist, or what some people would say the true nature of what reality is, right? That it goes much more beyond just this 3D dense human form that we are into many different higher and multi-dimensional dimensions that we can't even comprehend. But the fact that mushrooms can show you that we have access to that and access to the truth in that, and that we can have access to that even as we are without anything, that's what I feel it kind of helped to bridge that gap between not even knowing it existed at all to knowing it existed, and then finally the master stage, which I think you've reached and I'm beginning to reach as well, which is um, walking within all of those realities at the same time in this human experience. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really well said. I think it's like anything, right? They're tools. There's a lot of tools out there, and it's like none of them are bad, right?
Yeah.
They can all be used in a really constructive way, and um, they can also be used in a destructive way. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's about finding that balance, and really being honest with yourself about, is this actually benefiting me anymore? Like, I just know, like, having done a lot of mushrooms during the course of like 6 months during that period, I just remember I got to a point where the message was like, this is as far as this is gonna go.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, so I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Not that it's as far as like realization or spirituality can go, but it's as far as like this vehicle can take you,
Totally.
right? You got to get off of this ride so you can take the more advanced ride.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. If you can talk about how that happened to you. So, part of the thing I know people watching this on TikTok, on Twitch, YouTube are interested in is how you actually listen to that quote. You said you heard a message, right? Or your intuition told you, or you got the message. It's like, so how did you learn that message? Because that was essentially your soul probably redirecting you to a different state or way of being. How did that message come to you, or how did you understand that that was your next step that you needed to do?
Well, I guess two parts. One part was like, being on, you know, during some of the last times I did mushrooms or whatever. I just remember like having this clarity of like, oh yeah, like I already understand this. I don't need to keep doing it.
Hmm.
I like it's here whether I'm doing it or not. So it's kind of like it became like excessive and like not necessary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the other part of that was, honestly, I had someone come into my life who helped show me some like alternatives. Like my partner right now, when I met her, she introduced me to the Sedona method, which is really a technique and a framework for letting go of limiting beliefs, limiting emotions, and opening yourself up to the truth of who we all are at our
Hmm.
essence, at our core.
Hmm.
So I would say, really, like, I was kind of confused for a while in like what that next direction was. Like, I knew there was the point I had reached a stopping point, but I didn't know where to go after that. And to me, that's the great part about having resources out there where people can help point you in the right direction, right? Because
Yeah.
you can go if you don't know where you're headed, you can go a long way in the wrong direction. So I guess really having someone else enter my life who was like, hey, here's this really cool thing called the Sedona method. You should try it out. And to me, that was like a turning point and like a really transformative, like, to going into that next phase.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. So you would say maybe love and partnership, right? Love and partnership, or the opposite energy, right, in a romantic way, was the next thing that steered you into that next direction or phase of your life.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
necessarily be romantic. I think people can come into our lives like at the right moment, right? When we're ready for it, like someone will come into, you know, if you're asking the question, someone's going to find you and answer it,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether in physical form or spiritually.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of my favorite, I forget if it's a quote or if a piece of knowledge that I learned a while ago, but it was something like when you're praying or when you're asking for an answer, God will normally give that answer through another human being. like like it's like rare that God will just give you like, here's your answer. They'll
Mm.
normally like give it to another human being as a message to give to you in whatever random form. And so it's like after we pray or we're looking for an answer, if that comes through, it's going to come through in terms of, yeah, another human entering your life or what another human tells you, answering your prayer. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you heard there's a funny story about that concept?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll share it because
Please.
I don't remember the exact details. I've only heard it like once or twice. But basically, there's this guy on the roof of a burning building, and he's praying to God to come save him, right? And a person comes by with a ladder and puts the ladder up and says, "Hey, you can come get down, get off the ladder." And he goes, "No, no, I'm waiting for God to save me." And then I think something else comes by like a little bit more extreme, right? And he's like, "Oh no, I'm waiting for God to save me." And then a helicopter comes and it's like, "Dude, you want to get on this?" I said, "No, I'm waiting for God to save me."
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it reminded me of that. It was like, oh, like since it's all connected, like when we pay attention to what's showing up physically, because it's a reflection of what's going on internally.
That's so beautiful. I love that. I love that. And it's just like, I think that's a lot of what, if we get into the subject of like what spiritual bypassing would be,
And
which I know you've heard of that, but it's like being so overly in that world of like in connection to the higher self or the 5D or other dimensions that you miss out on what's happening in real life, and what that's trying to show you on an everyday basis, which is just as important, if not more important, than the truths that you gain from those higher dimensions, you know?
right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that kind of gets into our conversation, like really around spirituality,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Perfect segue.
to me, like spirituality is coming to that understanding that everything is spiritual 100% of the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and that there is no separation, right? And it's that spiritual bypass. It's an egoic mindset that, oh, there's this lower place and there's this higher place, and I need to shun this lower place to get to this higher place. But in reality, like the integration is understanding that all of it is equally spiritual,
Yes.
right? And honoring it all as equal, opens the door to being more present, more loving, more caring, more compassionate, right? Because you're no longer rejecting this world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was super guilty like of a lot of spiritual bypass, because
Yeah. Me too.
it can be very disruptive when you're like going through a spiritual experience, but you're still attached to your sense of ego, and you're like, so I'm this spiritual being, and it's like, no, 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 there's spirit, and you're in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. This is the actual spiritual experience. Like all the shit that you think is just like not important or just like bullshit over there or earthly stuff, too low for you. You're too good for that stuff. It's like that is right there. That's the work. Like that is the spiritual experience. Like I couldn't agree
Right,
more.
right.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. And I want to get into, I think it's a perfect segue. The point of today we want to talk about is, what the true definition of spirituality is. And I don't know why it came to me today, but I think it's really important we try our best to define what it is and give kind of a more practical roadmap for people who are wondering, so they can decide if it's for them or just kind of gain a new perspective. Because I think there's many, many people out there who may see this video now or in the future who may see spirituality as too woo-woo for them, or too whatever you want to put it, right? Like, just in this certain light where it's too almost egotistical in the way that these spiritual influencers or gurus are speaking about it and claiming that they know everything, and it's kind of this way of thinking they're better than, you know what I mean? And I really want to break that. I really want to break that paradigm and talk about what it means. And that's why I wanted to share both our stories in terms of how we became quote unquote spiritual, like how we went from just normal ass people to where we are today.
Well, do you want to share a little bit more? I think like I've been sharing some of my story, but do you want to share a little bit about your story
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of what unfolded for you, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, thank you for asking.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people who've heard some of my story, but I'll share specifically in terms of the spiritual awakening part. I would say for me, and so here's what I would say is that most of my life, as you guys know, I've been a very skeptical, very mental oriented, very logical person, and all the way the climax of that being when I told my friend Taylor here that the head is the most important instrument, way more important than the heart, right? Way more important than everything else. This is my most powerful thing. That was the essence of where I was. And so what happened was slowly over time, I would say the biggest tragedies in my life, whether it was from breakups especially. I think breakups with romantic partners from the past throughout my life have been big, what we call tower moments, where everything comes crumbling down and you have a chance to recreate yourself. And in those moments, you get to define who you are and where you want to go. Now, luckily for me, whether it was by coincidence or just chance or whatever it was, I had the opportunity to take psychedelic mushrooms in those moments. And in those moments when I took psychedelic mushrooms, it showed me a different path that I could choose to go on than the one I was currently on. Now, one thing I believe too is that in life there are potentialities, there are different timelines, and there is choice. And people can change if they want to change. There is no predetermination. There is no, you are set to your path no matter what. I believe people have the power to change if and when they want to change. That is one of my core beliefs here. And the reason I believe that is because I've had these moments in my life where I could have chosen different paths. Could have chosen maybe the path I was on, or to be more a certain way or comfortable or whatever. But mushrooms gave me that choice to see a different choice. And I decided to choose that choice. Now, as this happened more and more, I started to realize deep within that there were different types of realities out there, and that the universe was in some way orchestrating for my highest good all the time, no matter whether I was trying to do it or not. And I would say the biggest moment, there was one time for me that really broke things open. Actually, there was two times, and I'm gonna get into this in a second because it's gonna be a good story, T, because I think you know one of the times I'm referring to. But there was one time back in college when my life was pretty much falling apart. I mean, I had eczema all over my body. My blood pressure was sky high. I was 20 or 30 pounds overweight. I had sleep apnea. I had anxiety, all these things. And I was in a relationship that was not good at all. I would say a very negative relationship, a lot of toxicity there. And I went out to Palos Verdes and happened to just, with my friends at the time, and still good friends to this day, take a few grams of mushrooms. And I remember for the first time looking out into the horizon and having whatever show me exact specific instructions for what I needed to do in order to change my life around. And that, which then brought me to the choice of whether or not I wanted to do that. And after I did all of those things, right, my life changed, but I started to realize again that there was some other different way of being. I didn't know quite what that was at the time, but it opened the door a little bit. Slowly but surely, then I started seeing angel signs all the time, 1111, 222. I didn't know what that was, but I was seeing them everywhere. And then I met you, and we worked together at Bulletproof Labs, and you go on this crazy quest and journey on your own right, and you start to tell me, hey man, it's about your heart. It's about your heart. The heart's the most powerful electromagnetic force in the world. You got to open that up. And I go, no, it's bullshit. And then I would say it culminated, and I was doing astrology and Reiki and these types of things, right? It culminated with a final climactic I don't even know if that's a word, mushroom journey that you and I took in Joshua Tree, where we took four good friends of ours, and we'll keep their names, anonymous, so let's keep their privacy, but where we took 6 or 7 grams of mushrooms and just went out and had an adventure.
After 2 days of fasting, you got
Yeah.
to make sure you say after 2 days of fasting.
I forgot about that. Yeah, we had totally and I don't even know why this came to be or how we came to do this, but we just, I don't know, something within us. There was something we needed to do, and so we decided to fast for 2 days straight and really get prepared, and decided to all get together and take the most amount of mushrooms we could take that we've ever taken. I mean, that was the most by far I've ever taken. And the experience that we had, and we can go into detail if you guys want. Let us know in the chat if you guys want us to go into detail around this. The experience we had basically broke things open to a degree that showed us, one, our real ability and power and also purpose in this world, and what we needed to fight strongly against, where we needed to go, and also what we were here to do, at least for me. And Taylor, you can tell us too if this happened for you. And it also deepened the bond between the people that were supposed to, be together in this lifetime. After that, I mean, things just took off from there. So that was, in a nutshell, I owe a lot of people and things and random coincidences to my quote unquote spirituality. But since then, I would say it's been about coming back down and integrating all that I've experienced and learned into what it means to be a human again, and integrate all of that stuff in with human life. So in a nutshell, that's my story. Let me read some comments here. I know there's people have been commenting away here. We got 41 people watching us here on YouTube and Twitch, another 23 on TikTok, which is exciting. Fernanda says, I only had 2 grams. It was crazy. Wow, tell us. The angels and guides will show us the path, but then it's up to us to decide if we'll go down that path. Praga says, my stubborn analytical brain likes to question stuff too. I need reassurance from the spiritual side of me. Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Hey, Bruce is on here. What's up, dog? Hey, Bruce, what's going on? Eli Mame says, yes, please. Cool. Well, T, do you want to share with us, excuse me, do you want to share with us anything about your experience from that day, or what happened, or how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, sure. I don't really know where to start, but what comes to mind, it was kind of one of the most epic, but also one of the most terrifying days ever.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I don't know, you can help me fill in the details here, but I just remember, we got up and our idea was to watch the sunrise. Like at peak experience, which I guess is like 2 hours in, hour and a half, 2 hours in.
Yeah.
So we got up like 2 hours before the sunrise and just like ate 6 grams of mushrooms on like an empty stomach. And then I remember we all were just chilling for like an hour and a half.
And we're doing Reiki, remember? We're doing Reiki.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember we all laying inside chilling for like an hour and a half. I remember I was looking up at the ceiling and I just started seeing like hieroglyphics on the ceiling, like all this weird, to me it was like very Egyptian, like stuff on the ceiling. And then I remember like this like spiral, like rainbow double helix, like swirled down from the ceiling and like into my forehead. And it was almost like, here's like some information you're gonna need, or here's like something you're gonna need for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then I remember we all got outside and everything was chill. Everything was super chill. We were just sitting, waiting for the sunrise, and like on this like swinging bench, and we were all just sitting, waiting for the sunrise, and we were watching like over the mountains where the sun was about to come up. And it was just like the sun came over the horizon and it was like everything exploded. And like, yeah. I guess from there, the whole day kind of just like devolved into chaos. But like, yeah. It was just like this, this most epic, like bring you to tears, like sunrise moment. And then it just got super weird after that.
Oh yeah. And I want you guys to imagine, let us know in the chat, have you guys been to Joshua Tree? If you guys have been to Joshua, let us know. It's an amazing place to be. One, just without anything. With mushrooms though, it's probably the one of the most incredible spots I can recommend. But we had a house that if you look out of the backyard and into the mountains, the sun looks about 2 or 3 times bigger than normal, and it's just right in front of you, and it's like this huge. We were up at 4 or 5 a.m., so huge glowing red ball. And imagine just waking up to that while already on 6 or 7 grams of mushrooms. And T was already like, the guys just here you go, like here's whatever you're gonna need for the day. um, but that was just in itself mind blowing. I remember I was sitting behind Taylor, and he was sitting with another friend of ours on a bench in front of us, and I was sitting on the ground, and I just remember in slow motion I could see the wind kind of moving things along, and it was like my element at that time was air. I don't know why. I think T's was fire. I think mine was air. The element I was really kind of relating to. And we had another friend behind me. I think his element was earth. And I really do think I think all of us kind of embodied a different element. It was kind of a cool. I'm actually realizing that now because we had 4 people with us. We probably all embodied a different element. What do you think about that, T? You see that or no?
I see that. I
Yeah.
see what you put down.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. But it did. Shortly after that, it devolved into chaos. And T, do you want to say why? Since you are.
Well, so one of our friends, we were all outside. And one of our friends, like, it was hard to tell at first, but he was like super like blown away by the sunrise, and I was like, well, that's cool. But then it was like I just had this inner like knowing of like oh like it just seemed like he was at a like in a battle within himself. Like at one moment he's like completely in awe, and the next he's like kind of like losing touch, right? And I just remember we were trying to reassure him, like, dude, it's just the sunrise. And we're like, it's really cool, but it's like, it's gonna be okay. And I just remember like after that, like we all took him inside because we were concerned about, other people around, neighbors around, and he was like kind of losing his marbles, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I mean, from what we could perceive, right? And this goes
Right.
into, I really want to put a little nugget here. And of course, for me, it's also really important to protect everyone's identity and just to make sure everyone, this is all going to be anonymous. But it really gets into like the care and the respect that we all have to place around these tools because at that time, none of us really knew how, we weren't too experienced and we didn't have really experience giving people who were inexperienced a lot of mushrooms, and we didn't think of anything that could really go wrong, right? And like we just weren't prepared for what happened. Like what do you do when someone kind of uh, loses it or goes out a little out of control for that experience when you're also on your own experience. And that was part of what we had to kind of face and to contain and to help and to deal with in our own ways. But the magic of that, what it forced us to do, which I thought was really cool, was we got to step into each of our greatest powers as a human being. And I remember it's almost like, the greatest threats in life or those life or death moments or what you perceive to be a life or death moment brings out the absolute best. And it's only when you come face to face with something that is truly, terrifying and or life or death or intimidating that you find out what you're really made of. And I would say to a T that this is probably what, no pun intended, to a T, this is what this experience gave us. At least it gave me, T. What did you find out about yourself during that experience and, facing what we faced?
Um, I mean, so I guess I'll try and describe this as best I can. Our friend, very nice guy, very loving guy, and he was playing a role in this like whole collective experience. And
Right.
I'm not trying to. I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to say anything was wrong with him. There was absolutely nothing wrong
Yeah.
that was going on.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
it seemed like we were all faced like he was like bringing this kind of like sense of like darkness, um, and we were all kind of like left to face what that meant.
Yep.
And I know for me, like me and this person had like pretty direct interaction. Um, and I remember in the beginning just being like, I guess like a little bit scared of
Yep.
the whatever was coming through. I don't really know what it was, to be honest. I mean, I know what it felt like. It felt like, like pure evil in the moment, but it's hard to say but what was actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, like you said, it definitely forced like to step beyond yourself, right? I felt like
Yeah.
in that moment, in a moment there, like I stopped being me, um,
Yep.
because I had no other choice. Like the me that I thought I wasn't capable of handling that situation.
Yeah.
But then, towards the end, I remember me and this person, we sat down in front of each other, and he asked me, he's like, hey, I feel like you've been kind of like mean and like neglecting me and like shunning me all day. And I could tell in that moment, like whatever role he'd been playing, like all that had fallen away, and it was just like him there again. And I remember just having like the most like love you could ever have for a person, in that moment. And like we hugged, and everything turned into the Matrix. Like the green digital. You know how like when you see the Neo's like the green digital. Turned into the Matrix, and like we essentially like merged into one. Um,
Yeah.
so to me, like that round trip was that, looking in hindsight, the round trip really was, uh, anything and everything is like worthy of being loved no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think, in the beginning part of the journey, I think I reacted with a lot of fear, like looking back on it.
Yep.
Um, but that was kind of the message, was like, you don't have to be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Um, if you come to the table with, that genuine lovingness and that genuine like sense of beingness and equality with everyone, it's like everything's going to be okay. Um, and then yeah, so we
Love it.
basically like merged, and then I remember coming outside, and like I was just like flying across the desert. I wasn't even like in my body anymore. I remember I sat outside with you and our other friend, um, and you guys were like, "Where's Taylor?" So
We
I
lost
guess
T.
I guess it's one of those experiences, like it feels like you could reflect upon a lot, and still keep discerning more, like learning and value. I mean, I don't think I'm aware of all the learning that might have happened in that moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, T, for sharing that. That was beautiful, by the way you shared that. I didn't know that all that had happened, so this is interesting for me to hear because I had a completely different perspective. But and I'm gonna say this because I think it's important, and I think it's symbolic of what we're facing on a larger scale right now within the world. I really do, and I think this is why this is coming up in this chat. And trust me when I say I love this individual I'm about to speak about. I hope he knows that, and I hope he can take this as us just chatting about what happened from our experiences. But it was evil. It was an evil entity, I would say, that was within this individual at that time. I no longer believe it's within him. Was coming out and showing itself during this mushroom experience. And of course, as T said, it happened for a reason at that time. Not just to scare the shit out of us and to show us that this existed, okay? Because that was the first time I had come face to face with evil like that. That was the first time I had really seen darkness in the face and what it looked like and what it was. But it was also the first time, as T said, that I realized I could be stronger and not defeat, but just kind of see through the illusion of it with strength and love. And those of you guys who've been following, my channel, I talk about the King of Cups energy, right? King of Cups meaning, strength from the heart, strength from love, love being the greatest superpower of all. And really what it taught us is our individualized way of defeating evil with love in our own way. At least that's one of the things I learned, because we all had to face both this individual and the entity within at that time and come face to face with it. I mean, imagine on 6 or 7 grams of mushrooms, coming face to face with what you can really truly feel is an evil entity, and not knowing what to do or how to handle it, or having any spiritual tools of what to do this. And it was just amazing. But so I would say that helped us both kind of understand and strengthen up our confidence when it comes to love and it comes to spirituality. I love that at the end you and him hugged, and that's what basically brought you together, and that at the end there was nothing but love between you and this individual. Like there was no blame, there was no resentment, there was no more fear. It was just, hey, that was an experience that basically you needed to do. Like on an unconscious level you needed to do, and we both had our roles to play, and it was for a very important reason, and it occurred. So thank you for sharing that. I do want to get to a couple questions here, and T,
Yeah, I see
yeah,
one that stands out to me regarding this.
okay,
I You can tell. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing the name right, but Pragya Singh
yeah, yeah,
like says, "What do you recommend we do in order to protect ourselves from negative entities during these experiences?" And I think we touched on that maybe indirectly, but maybe I'll touch on it directly. Is the true you, the true oneness and beingness of you, the loving presence that you are. Um, it can't be affected by negative entities, right? Only when you're identified with the ego can a negative entity harm you. So
mm-hmm.
as and that's what spiritual practice is about, right? It's about letting go of the ego and coming to that recognition that you are beyond, you are beyond form, and that lovingness encompasses all, and that lovingness in the
Yeah.
true spiritual sense is embracing and allowing those entities to be as well.
Yep.
Right? To think about that is that, oh, like part of the embracing, part of like a deep, like true spiritual lovingness is embracing those entities, and noting that, like, to me, that's what kind of where my experience with this individual wrapped up, was like, even those parts deserve love.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we all have parts in ourselves that are kind of locked away in a cage.
Yeah.
Right? We all have these parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge because they scare us.
Yep.
And it's like, as you open the door and you choose to accept, love, and integrate those, you realize that they don't actually have any power over you.
Mm.
Right? Fear can never like overpower compassion and love. So that's my long form answer to negative entities. Love them and they'll melt.
That's so good, T. And it's funny because I think you and I have actually, it's very similar to how I've gotten that question a couple times before, and it's very similar to what I've said too. So our shield of love is basically in full alignment of how we our swords of love, right? And I would just quickly add on to that and say the only way that they can have any power is if we run away, one, and two, if we don't integrate those parts within our own selves. So let's say like you look within yourself and there is darkness, right? Like you see like, oh, there's this dark part of me, there's this dark entity, even this dark part of my soul, or this wounded part of my soul that is quote unquote dark or evil. That may be a part of you. I'm actually working with a client right now who is embracing the fact that she has actual dark energy within her. And it's not for me to judge. It's for me to help her to integrate that within her, because there's a reason for it. There's a purpose to this dark energy just as much as there is light energy. And I think the other thing that I learned on that experience, T, and let me know if you learned the same thing, but that the dark serves the light, and the dark serves the world and the light just as much as the light serves. And it's not about, light versus dark necessarily, but it's more so about, how can we integrate and balance both sides and learn to love everything as it is, as opposed to trying to, make it be one way or to shift or change it, because in the end we found that I don't know about you, I was trying my best to maybe, dispel this negative entity, and I was doing like Reiki on the heart and all of these air-like things, my superpower, and
I straight up told it no, Brandon. I don't know if you remember.
You did. You did. You did. Um, yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild, guys. I'm.
But you made a great point there in terms of like
Yeah.
talking about judgment, right? It's
Yeah.
not ours to judge, right?
Yeah.
It is the way it is, right? And resisting it only creates more friction, it creates a fight,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when we accept what is, right? When we allow what is to be, there's no fight, right? And
Yeah.
and those energies naturally just kind of release or integrate, or who knows what happens. I don't really know exactly what happens, but
Yeah.
I do know that acceptance is hugely transformative to any energetic state.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, and I actually, to be honest with you, I think part of my life, has been coming into contact with what we would call darkness or dark energy, or even, I don't want to say evil necessarily. I think good versus evil is like a man-made construct, so we'll just say dark energy. I think you agree with that, T.
Also a man-made
Yeah.
construct.
Dark and light.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure, right? This is just our labels and terms for things.
that's right.
But I've come into, I would say, I've had to, like, part of my path has been being in close relationship with those who have this essence of dark energy. And every single time that it's happened, in daily life and also just in the past, has been to help me to discover more of me, for me to discover more of my light, just for me to discover more of my power, of the truth of myself every single time. And so it's almost like the dark, for me, my opinion, the dark serves its purpose in helping the light understand itself, and for the light to know itself and to know the truth of reality even more. And without the dark, the light wouldn't know just how incredible it is. What do you think about that, T? Have you had similar experiences, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about exact similar experiences, but in terms of like how we understand anything, we tend to understand anything because of polarities,
Yeah,
right? Good versus
yeah,
bad, light versus dark, up versus down, left versus right. Like a lot of our mental understanding of the world is built on polarities, and to me, part of a spiritual practice is integrating both sides of the polarities. So if you're,
yeah,
in this spiritual mindset of like, I'm light, I'm light, I'm light, and no darkness can touch me. Sorry, I'm saying, but I think you get into this mindset of shunning darkness,
right,
right, and shunning the teacher that is the other side of the coin,
yes,
right? Because you can't have light without darkness. If you're in a dualistic world, right, you can't have light without darkness, and
yep,
shunning any of it is shunning a part of yourself ultimately,
yes,
right?
yes,
And who you are is beyond duality, but we're learning in this dualistic world, and part of that learning process to me is accepting the polarities,
hmm,
right? And it comes back to what we're talking about of accepting the whole experience, right? Where we run into trouble
yep,
typically, to me, in terms of like life, is we, oh, I want to run towards the pleasure and hide from the pain, right? But they
right,
they coexist because they're opposites, right? And as you accept and allow both sides of the coin, you naturally are resting in that presence, in that awareness, in that beingness that is the source of all existence anyway.
I love that.
Um,
I love that. Yeah, yeah. It brings us back because this. I don't know if you've seen, T, but this channel, right? This YouTube channel, Twitch. A lot of the themes that have been coming up during the channel Sunday readings have been about the infinity symbol. Interestingly, and the infinity. What just popped up in my mind when you said that is, obviously one essence of polarity can't exist without the other. We know that. But the other thing is that the opposing polarity that you may want to experience more of is only increased or expanded by the integration and exploration of the opposite polarity. So, for
right,
instance, like if you want more pleasure in your life, then you might need to go through more pain in order to experience a higher degree of pleasure, and vice versa. And it always kind of leads back to the other one. So it's an
right,
interesting construct that just popped in. I thought I'd share is like, if whatever you're looking for, think of the opposite polarity of that, and see what elements of life you can kind of, or see how you can integrate that opposite polarity, especially if you're feeling stuck or stagnant in what you want to experience, and bring that to the surface. For instance, let's say around abundance or money or wealth, right? Just as one example, let's play around with this. Let's say you want to experience wealth and abundance, because I think that's something you and I both want to do. A lot of people on this channel want to do, right? What would we do? So, what's the opposite polarity T of wealth or abundance? What would you say?
uh, Poverty and I guess, I don't know, apathy.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, so poverty and apathy. So if let's say we're stuck, we don't know how to get into the mindset or the energetic state of wealth or abundance. We don't know where to go from there. We would have to go down to explore and integrate the elements of scarcity and poverty, maybe, in order to come back up and through to that mindset. Now, what would that actually mean in human form? Maybe in some way, shapes, or form. Let me know if you guys have any ideas around this, but maybe in some way, shape, or form, exploring the consequences of what it would mean to be in actual poverty or to be apathetic, or possibly just allowing yourself to experience apathy for a period of time. That might be it, actually. Experiencing apathy for a period of time, integrating that in order to naturally flow back up towards wealth and
Yeah.
abundance. What do you think about that,
Well,
T? That's a
you
confusing one.
you you want to know the what? Okay, I'll give you what I
What's
think. I
what's your
think,
wisdom here?
well, the very if you're wanting abundance and success, you're already harboring the feeling that you don't have them. So you're already experiencing the polarity.
Oh, oh,
And
interesting.
and the key is, one, the key is to stop resisting, right? But the other key is to let go of wanting so that you can have, right?
Hmm.
Because when we're wanting
Yeah.
something in the moment, we're saying to the world, to the universe, to spirit, we're saying, I don't have this right now, right? And as
Yeah.
you let go of that belief, or you let go of that feeling, usually to me it always feels like a feeling, like a lack feeling,
Yeah.
right? I'm wanting more abundance and I'm feeling lack right now,
Yeah.
right? So can I be with that lack feeling? Can I shine awareness on that lack feeling and let it go? Would I
Yep.
be willing to let it go, right? Because a lot of times it sounds simple, like, would I let this go? But a lot of times we're attached to these lack feelings because our identity is constructed around them,
Hmm.
right? If we grew up
Yeah.
in poverty, our identity is constructed around poverty,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's sometimes it's harder, it's harder to, it's easy to say just let it go, but sometimes it's letting go of actually like a core piece of identity,
Hmm.
right? But as we choose to,
Yeah.
we step into a courageousness, right? As we choose, oh, I'd be willing to let this go so that I can have more abundance, right? Boom, you've tapped into what's beyond the polarity, right? Which is the fact that you are whole, complete, and enough right now, exactly as you are, not as the person, but as the power and the presence that's giving life to the person. So when you integrate the feelings of lack, when you choose to release the feelings of lack, they're kind of the same, but different strokes for different folks. When you choose make that choice, you're saying, "Oh, I'm in a state of happiness now. I'm in a state of abundance now," and from that, the external manifests.
Wow. Wow. Did I not tell you guys this guy? Did I not tell you guys this dude was gonna drop some wisdom bombs on us? That was really crazy. I'm trying to formulate that, man. I think one thing you said about, like, okay, so let's say you're wanting something really bad to happen. You're wanting more abundance. You're wanting more whatever wealth. It's letting go of the wanting so that you can have more of it. That was very profound. That's one thing I took away. And then also the fact that you said sometimes, like, our very identity and who we are can be tied around the thing that is preventing us from what we want. So for instance, like, if we think we want wealth and abundance, and yet the identity of who we think we are, or what it's based on, is based in lack, then we're never going to get there, because we would have to completely reshape our identity to do so. Is that about what you said?
Yeah.
That was very. I mean, I don't know where that came from. Again.
So the Sedona method.
Oh, the Sedona method.
Yeah. A lot
Um,
of these concepts are taught in the Sedona method. They have a whole like core part of their teaching around desire and wanting. I mean, it's Buddhist teaching too,
yeah,
right? Like letting go of desires is not like a new thing,
yeah,
but understanding it, right? It's about us each coming to our own understanding around like, oh yeah, like I am sending out this message of lack.
yes,
So how can I do that? And part of it is being willing to let go of who you think you are, right? Letting
yep,
go of your attachment to your ego, right? dropping it, getting out of the way so that you can allow that infinite abundance to flow.
Wow. Wow. That's so cool. I want to do something with everyone live on the stream for a second because I just felt it in my body shift. Are you cool with that, T? If we do a little exercise
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
All right. So I want everyone watching live. By the way, let me read a couple comments. Jen, what's going on? Self Worth in You is one of my clients and friends. Bruce, I've heard that when you say I want more money, we're saying that lack and not abundance. Yep. Pragi says, Taylor's called me out right now. This is something I've been facing a lot for the past month. Awesome.
I'm calling you and everyone else in the world out. We're all guilty.
It's called me out for sure. Jess said, letting go of what I don't have to do what I and what I do have. Yeah, I think there's a reason we're diving into this particular subject because it's a question on everyone's minds, right? How does this work? So anyways, let's do a little something if you guys are up for it. Everyone's kind of sit back and relax, come back into your body. Okay, you can close your eyes. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let it all go. Okay, just center in for a second. I want you guys to think and feel into something that you really, really want. Okay, so what is so something in your life individually that you really, really want? And T, you can do this with us as well, or you can observe and add in here. But whether it's money in abundance, whether it's a relationship, whether it's I don't know, for me, more viewers on Twitch and YouTube.
A house.
A house, okay. For Taylor, it's a house, beautiful. And I want you to think and feel into that thing, and then I want you to feel the feeling attached to that around wanting. Okay, so just as T said right now, okay, feel yourself in relation to that thing and feel that wantingness, okay? And if you guys feel deep into it, can you guys feel that feeling of like, it's like a little bit of desperation or a little bit of lack or a little bit of clinginess around having that particular thing?
To me, it feels like anxious and like unsettled,
Yes, that's a great
like
word
in a
for it.
visceral sense.
Yes, I can feel that totally. It's down here in my gut. I can feel like, and for me, it's around more viewers, right? So it's like, okay, I'm wanting that thing, and the fact that I don't have it, it upsets me, right? It upsets me. It upsets my a part of me, and I feel that desire. And then if I just release that desire and I go, ooh, I feel all the energy come back. Actually, it's really cool. If you guys release that desire itself to have whatever that thing is, and just kind of embody what is right now, or you embody the state of having it already within you, like having it embody, having that very thing embody every single ounce of yourself, all of your cells, all of your tendons, your bodies, your bones, whatever that thing is. Oh, you already are it. It already is it, right? That's a whole different feeling that you can do to transform that feeling of want. Let us know in the chat. Any of you guys try this? What did you guys feel when you did this? Here in the chat on TikTok, and someone says I don't like it. Let's see what people came up with, and let us know in the chat too one thing that you guys are wanting to manifest here. Self-worth and you says I keep seeing a green star with purple around it. Wow, that's really interesting. We could dive into that as well, Jen. If you have any ideas around what that green star represents for you, let us know. Anyone else have an experience that they want to share around that? Self when you I felt anxious. Yeah. Jen, I think just intuitively it feels like that's you being seen, right? That's you in the spotlight. That's you being out there in the world, right? Your starship. Good. Anyone else?
I feel anxious too, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, to me, that's kind of what comes with like wanting. It's the business of wanting, right? It's
Yeah.
because you're saying to yourself you're incomplete right now.
Yeah.
And it's a practice, right? It's the practice of stepping back and integrating that feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, right? But as you get very, very present with it and you embrace it, right? That idea of, you know, you can accept it or you can resist it, right? A lot of times we tend to resist these type of feelings because they're uncomfortable, right? And as we get in the practice of accepting them and even accepting like the resistance to the feelings, it gets easier. I mean, it doesn't mean they're just gonna like magically disappear. They can. You can be open to the possibility, but to me, it helps just to keep coming back to, am I this feeling or am I that which is aware? Like that's a great like cue that helps to just create that space for release.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. It's that separation, right, between the true self and whatever that desire or feeling is, right? And separating yourself from that. We have a couple people. October Sky says that I felt lonely. Praga says I see myself as a practicing physician and finally working with my twin on a project both of us are passionate about. Wanting makes me feel empty. Jen says, yeah, feeling uncomfortable, also a bit nauseated. Wow. Tony B says, what happens when you die? We'll get to that question next, Tony B. Don't worry. We'll be answering that. Jess not only wants us scared running out of time. Yeah. Really good answers, guys. Now, as T said, I think the key here is looking into that particular feeling, right? Silent Aiden says empty. There's a lot of emptiness going on. So I've also had experiences with a client where there's a lot of, right, pouring out your own energy towards and because of a specific desire. Okay, can anyone relate with this? It's like if you have this specific desire or feeling and you're feeling empty inside, okay, I want you guys to look at that particular thing, whatever that thing is for you, whether it's being with your twin flame, whether it's being in a happy relationship, whether it's having a house or being abundant, things like that. Look at that feeling, okay, and then look at what it's doing to you, right? What it's causing to you. Look at where and how your energy is being drained because of it. And then you have a choice, right? Once you can see what the effect of this is on you overall, then you have a choice as to what you want to do. Now, there's different methods of doing this. I think T with the Sedona method and his form of release. Do you want to take people through, T, so let's say people have this kind of feeling of lack or loneliness or whatever it is. What would you recommend to them? What's an exercise they can do to transform this?
All right.
Yeah, take us
We're
through.
gonna do. This is a Sedona release, and we'll just clear the whole space of
Oh,
everything that's coming up around wanting.
here we go. Here we
As
go.
you can, so if you're able to get comfortable and
I'm
settle in, it's
excited.
gonna be like a guided meditation.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'll just take you through. This is directly from the Sedona method. So if you enjoy it, I highly recommend going to check it out. A lot of great tools for integrating emotions, beliefs, and letting go and realizing the truth of who you are. So go ahead and get comfortable and just notice what's here now. It could be that feeling of scared running out of time. It could be that feeling of a little nausea, a little uncomfortableness. Um, could be, anything that's coming up, feeling lonely, feeling anxious. Just allow all of those feelings to be here exactly as they are. And could you simply allow what is to be as best you can, just for now? And notice if there's any inner resistance coming up around any of these feelings, or what they represent, or what they mean to you. And could you just welcome that resistance? Allow it to be here as best you can. And could you also welcome any wanting to do anything with or about any of this? Any wanting to figure it out? And could you notice any sense that any of this is personal? That it's about you or who you are? And it might feel very personal, so just welcome that. And could you now welcome what's beyond the person? That awareness, that peace, that presence that's always here, no matter what's going on with the person. And can you rest as that? And then we'll do a couple more rounds just like that in a similar style. So again, notice that thing that you're wanting. Could be a house, could be a romantic relationship, could be money, whatever it is for you. And just notice what that stirs up inside. And could you just allow it all to come into awareness? out of the unconscious and into the conscious, where it can be released. And could you notice any remaining sense of wanting to do anything with or about it? Any wanting to figure it out? And could you welcome any remaining sense of the person that this is happening to you? And just for a moment, could you let go of the person that you think you are and be what you truly are? What we all are. And can you rest in that space of awareness? And if it's deeper than that, could you still rest even further into that space of presence and awareness? Great. So that's just a little taste of some of the tools that I think are life changing from the Sedona method. That you can feel. I don't know if anyone else can feel it too, but you just feel the settling, right?
Yeah.
Just the, because we're all doing this together, right? And you just feel that whoosh. We're all sleepy now.
Yeah, that was a very dramatic shift. I even feel like, wow, my voice has changed. Like you can feel I'm more dropped into my body. There's less kind of crazy anxiety inducing energy running around. Wow, very powerful, T. Thank you for taking us through that. That was an unexpected surprise and gift, as I knew there would be many with you today on the live stream.
Well, thank you guys all for being here and being a part of it, because we're all creating this. Like I said at the beginning, like we're all creating this space together. And to me, like the healing, the releasing, the integration, it's always amplified when it's all of us coming together with that same purpose.
I think that was very well done, very well said. And what I'd like to do now, guys, is kind of just transition into this talk. It didn't go anywhere, anyway, the way I expected it to go. I didn't know what I thought I was going to do, but it just went where it needed to go. I want to transition into answering you guys' questions. If you guys have questions for myself or Taylor, he's here. I believe he's going to start to be more online, either on YouTube, on Twitch. T, before everyone starts to, run, where can they find you if they want to, bask in your wisdom and your methods more? Where are you going to be? Because, people need you.
Well, so right now I host a weekly satsang, usually every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I guess email me if you're interested.
Jesus Christ. Let me help you out here, brother. All right, so this will be my area of expertise, okay? So Taylor's the wise one. I figured out, a little bit more of the business stuff. So Taylor, what's a good is there any place people can message you directly? Whether, I know you don't have any social media, but do you have anything open right now, either an app or something like that, where they could just shoot you a message?
This is a great question, Brandon. I guess YouTube.
YouTube?
Sure.
Cool. Well, let's do this. So what's your YouTube channel called?
It's called Letting Go Now.
Okay, so go find Taylor on Letting Go Now. Okay.
Yeah, I'll share a link to make it easy.
Okay, there you go.
And there's no official content there right now, but you can, I think, probably message me.
Yeah, and then if people want to just email you directly, what's a good email they could reach out and just get involved with your next meetings? It's all
Yeah.
free. It's a free satsang. Taylor hosts a group, and he does a lot of really cool transformative practices like the one he
I
just did.
I put my email in chat,
There you go.
atsrico@me.com. Yeah, if you're interested,
All
I
right.
host every week, unless I'm like doing some other thing, but every week Tuesdays, and we get together to, satsang literally translates to gathering together for the truth, and it's a space. It's that kind of takes its own form, really, like this chat did, of you know allowing everyone to find that deeper truth within themselves in whatever
Yeah.
way that needs to take shape. And we do a lot of like Sedona releasing because those tools can just like cut right through it. But it's also like, you can come share a challenge you're going through, you can come share a goal you're working on, and use that collective energy to, um, you know, help get clarity on that. So yeah, every Tuesday, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. Every
And
Tuesday.
share my email.
Yeah, and for those of you guys watching this video later on Twitch or YouTube, Taylor's email is atsrico at me.com. So that's again atsrico at me.com, and he's putting his YouTube channel in there now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Taylor, and definitely go check him out. Taylor, as I said, blowing us away with his exercises, but just a gift to this world, lots of wisdom way beyond my own. And we got to get him more online. So you guys are going to be the reason he goes online. Trust me.
That would be it. I'll come be online with y'all because it's a blast.
If you guys will give him a reason to be online. So if you could help me in that quest to get him on, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and any guys want to share your experiences with that exercise? If you did, we have Silent Aidens is saying thanks with a heart. Jess 911 says thank you. I was overwhelmed with emotions at first, and then a calm flowed through me. Awesome. Ingrid said yes with 3 blue hearts with the butterfly and all these emojis. I love it. And her astrology sign Libra. I love it. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, you guys are welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, if you guys want to share your experience, we'll hang out for a few more minutes, answer some questions. I know we got a couple questions here on TikTok. We have Claire Connor says, where are you both from? So I'm from Southern California, Marina Del Rey, and born and raised in a town called Torrance. And Taylor and I both work together in Santa Monica. But T, do you want to share where you're from?
Well, there's where I live and there's where I'm from. I grew up in Colorado, a little town called Telluride, Colorado.
Oh, I didn't know you grew up in Colorado. I thought you grew up in Austin. Okay.
No, I went to college in Austin. See, you just spent a lot of time in California. I've been to Boston, Austin.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in Tampa Bay, Florida. But contemplating to move to Colorado next year.
That's awesome. Madeline says, it made me slow down enough to think that there are steps I can take to give myself more time to make a dramatic decision about my living situation. I've been so overwhelmed. Thank you. Wow. So changing lives here, T. Just want you to see.
That's
changing
awesome.
lives. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Madeline. I know how, especially around living situations, because it's, it sounds like it's involving relationships maybe, but also, money and finance. It kind of brings everything all in the forefront. Security. So glad you got some relief and some clarity around making that decision.
And we have more. I'm just going to keep showering you with love, T. So we have someone someone on TikTok, Claire. Hey Claire. She says, love a guy who doesn't use social media, but Taylor should definitely get on. Literally, but Taylor should definitely get on. And then she says, hello from Brooklyn. Okay, so keep in mind, this is someone from TikTok. So I don't know, Claire, I don't even know if you've seen Taylor yet because you've been, seeing my ugly mug, but there's Taylor on TikTok and she says, hello from Brooklyn. This has been such an incredible live. Thank you for sharing. So they really appreciated it. I never had time to worry about me. Now I do. So this is so cool. Someone says, Karen says, awesome. I could feel my chi rising and body relaxed. Beautiful stuff. Tingly hands, relaxed. So really good stuff, guys. Thank you for sharing. Bruce says, look at that. Bruce is still here. So Bruce says, look me up when you get here. Oh, man. Oh, you guys are going to Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to Colorado. Man. Oh, I'm going to have to come visit all you guys up there.
Well, I appreciate all the encouragement to get on social media and share. I mean, that's really like part of why we're doing this, why I'm doing the Sat song, why I'm becoming more vocal. Because I really haven't been that vocal. I've really just been marinating in my own experience over here. But part of what's come to fruition is like wanting to share, like finally feeling like grounded in a place that's grounded. Like I felt like very frenetic for years, like at least 3 years. But finally feeling at a place of like groundedness to actually like share and communicate and I guess help.
Oh yeah, he's been getting ready for you guys. Basically,
I've been marinating.
He's been in his cocoon, but he's ready to fly like the butterfly he is. So Claire says, "Aw, both cute." She says, "Come to New York City," and she's asking if you're a Cancer, the sign Cancer. T. Do you want to tell everyone your astrology sign?
Gemini.
He's a Gemini. He's a Gemini.
One of those rare gems.
One of those. Praga says, "The world needs to hear your wisdom." Silent's asking, "How old are we?"
29.
29.
I had to think about it for a second.
We're both 29, huh? Yeah, I forgot about that. We're both 29. Aries here, Aries Sun, and Gemini here. So perfect match, by the way. That air and fire goes perfectly together to stimulate this conversation.
I'll fan your flames.
You can fan my flames anytime, T. You can fan the shit out of my flames. Okay. Let's see. Self-Worth Genesis. Got to have a big conference or convention. It's coming. It is coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
We're doing a conference and convention. What?
In Austin, Texas. Yeah. My chat has been hearing this for a while. T. I don't know if I didn't tell you this. Did I?
No, probably not.
Yeah, we're doing a convention in Austin. It's happening.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, probably. What was the year, guys? What's the year we're gonna do that convention? You guys remind me. What's that year? And what's it going to be about? You guys remind me in the chat. I totally forgot. Hey, Claire says, what sign am I? Same, turning 30. Oh, nice, Claire. Someone says Virgo. Did you guys forget? Bueller? I believe it was going to be 2022. If that was correct. So 2022, 2022. That's going to be it. Yeah. So Jen says 2022 or 2023. 2023, I think there's a little bit of delay. Jess 911, 2023. Yeah, 2022, 2023, I think there's going to be a conference. And then remind me, guys, what it's going to be about and who we're going to have at that conference. Miss Pizzell says, I feel a lot better. She's a Virgo. Claire O'Connor from New York City is turning 30 on 7/14. Wow, so a lot of 29-year-olds here.
Coming up, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So you're that would mean 7/14. That's July. That would make you a Leo or a Cancer. I'm not quite sure. One of those two signs.
You're supposed to know these things.
I'm supposed to know. It's one of the things. I can do astrology, but the memorization of things, it takes a little bit. Takes a little bit more time.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, Just 901 says Megan Fox. I forgot. So one of the lives, T, on TikTok, we were talking about like who was gonna come be a speaker, and somehow, some way, Megan Fox came up, and people were saying Megan Fox is she's one of my biggest crushes, but then other people said she has a rainbow aura. Other people says that she's she's a little spiritual. So. We're gonna have Megan Fox there.
Great.
Like I said, she's absolutely amazing.
Great.
Cool.
I love it. I like that. Like you guys are creating an event and wait for it to happen.
We're creating it. It's coming into existence already.
It's already done, right?
It's already done. It's just in the works here. All right. Any other questions you guys have before T and I take off? Let us know in the chat. Hope you guys had a good experience. Let us know any of the takeaways you guys had as well, if you'd like, in
I,
the
I
chat here.
I know someone said what happens when you die. Did we
Oh,
answer that
that's right.
question?
Yeah, Tony B
We
had
said we
asked
were going
that.
to answer that
Yeah,
question.
yeah. T, do you want to take a shot at that one?
I'm gonna
Or you
take the
want?
shot and say
All
I
right.
don't know. That's my answer.
Okay. I will. I will take a shot as well, if you don't mind. I think you know, I think that's the wisest thing that anyone could have said right there. Right? Is like I don't freaking know. You know, we're only human. We're only 29. Who knows? Now? What the thing is though, and I'm sure T has heard these too. I've heard lots of different accounts of the possibilities of what could happen. Okay, from different sources. One of my favorite sources, her name is Dolores Cannon. And Dolores Cannon, you guys, I think, know a lot of her work, but she's this. She was a psychologist and a practicing psychotherapist who utilized hypnotherapy, and in her work discovered that she could take people to a such a deep place in the subconscious that she could speak to the soul, and that the soul would then tell her through her questioning and her curiosity all about the nature of reality and what happened in the afterlife. And she's got a book called I think it's called Life After Death, or Death After Life, or something like that. If you guys know in the chat, let us know. But she talks about basically when you die, the soul separates. You have a guide that comes down supposedly to help your soul along to find the dimension it's supposed to travel to, and then you basically go and rest for a little while, essentially, until you're feeling, back up to par. Let's say you went through traumatic experiences, things like that. You rest for a little bit, and then you go to review your life with the masters and with the guides who you had initially intended that life experience with. And then after that, after you learn your mistakes and learn what you did well, and she even mentions like you can, you see like the perspective of the people around you about things that you did or things that happened, and you see what the perspective is from other people around you. So you get a full kind of objective viewpoint of what your life was. And then after that point, then you go back and you continue learning as a soul, right, in more of a like a learning or intellectual oriented way. And then you get ready and decide if you want to keep incarnating on Earth to learn more lessons or to be of service. That is, in a nutshell, one of the perspectives I think that is, for me, it makes the most sense, and it's most kind of believable because it's been verified and validated by thousands of different clients who didn't know the story of what the others were saying, and yet we're all replicating a similar kind of journey. And it just kind of opened my eyes. It's one of the books that changed my life. And one of the authors was like, okay, there's an actual intention for each and every lifetime as a soul, and we're here to learn certain predetermined experiences and lessons, and all we're doing is doing the best we can do and trying to figure it out as we go, and learn all those lessons and have the experience we're meant to have. So that's I would say a theory of mine, right? But of course, the other answer that's probably more wise is like, we have no freaking clue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for going into that explanation too,
Yeah, yeah,
because I mean, it's a little tongue in cheek, right? Of I don't know, but
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
true. Like I don't personally know. I can tell you what I believe. I mean, I believe that when you're identified as a body, as a mind, you keep going through cycles of birth and death. And to me, the process is an evolution of getting to the place where you transcend that cycle and recognize the highest truth.
mm,
Um,
yep,
and you can do that right now, um, right? You
yeah,
can do that in this lifetime of working towards recognizing the highest truth, that you are beyond that cycle of birth and death. You are
yeah,
the one presence that's aware and with it all. Um, so I guess my belief would be that that's not the end, and in fact, it might just be the beginning.
Boom. Dun dun dun. It's only the beginning. We're only just getting
What's it?
started here.
Okay, this is for, I don't know, there might be some Harry Potter nerds in here.
Right here. Right here.
Okay, but there's a great saying in one of those books that Dumbledore's character says that to the well-prepared mind, death is just the next great adventure, or something of that nature. I might not be getting it perfect, but that's the gist of it. But really, to me, in my own spiritual practice, which is like, you know, working towards complete self-realization, or letting go of any identification with the body mind, right? To me, that is dying, right?
Mm.
As you let go, to me, as you let go of any identification with a body, with a mind,
Yeah.
and you completely identify with what's beyond, um, to me, that's death. And to me, like, that can happen before your physical body dies.
Mm. Mm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think a lot of people are going through that right now too. Speaking about like identity shifts, right? And letting go of who you thought you were to become something else and to create who you are. I think that's a big part of what you're talking about, because that's a death of sorts, right? The death card in the tarot represents that perfectly, is letting go of one way of being or one reality to step into a new one. And I think that's happening a lot right now, especially collectively, from what I've been observing and seeing. Just 911 asks, tips on shadow work from childhood experience. T, you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that question.
Cool.
I mean, from childhood experience, I mean, to me, and I don't know what you've been through, right? So take this with a grain of salt. Um, to me, it would be a practice of acceptance, right? I always kind of think about it as like, oh, if that child was, for an example, having a breakdown on the floor in front of you, like, how would you react to that, right? And to me, my reaction is always, well, I give that kid a hug and I love him and I tell him, hey, everything's going to be okay. Like, I know that you had this experience, right? But it's over. It's not happening right now. And I'm here for you and I care about you and I love you and we're going to get through this. I mean, to me, like, I love the metaphors of like having an inner child, because it's like it really puts it into perspective. Like, would you treat a kid this way, right? And it opens the door to like, oh my God, yeah, I totally would treat a kid the way I'm treating myself. So how can I flip that script? And to me, the pathway is always inner acceptance, right? And realizing that the past is gone, and as you let go of the past, as you let go of the future, and you be here now, any of those past hurts, they start to dissolve, and it won't happen like necessarily overnight, but it's a practice, right?
Yep.
What do you think? What's your take?
That's fantastic, T. I love that perspective. I'm going to give some more nitty gritty, kind of experiential, detailed instructions here for you guys, if that's relevant. I think it's great to have both perspectives. By the way, is like T's perspective, and then we'll go into the practice of it. So, one thing I've realized we can do, our powers as a human being, is to travel back in our own soul's timeline. Okay, that we can visit these moments. And visit ourselves in those moments and shift our reality in that moment in order to heal all that's occurred since then. So let's just say, for example, hypothetically, when we were 8 years old, okay, 8 to 11 to 12, some of the most transformative times of our life in terms of the trajectory, something intense or dramatic happened. Let's say there was, I don't know, childhood abuse of some sort, or there was a death in the family, or someone left that you really cared about. Think about if you do meditation, you go back to that time and you imagine the specific emotions that you had at that time. If you conjure up yourself, right, and what you were actually experiencing, if you were brave enough to go back to that point in time. And even the most devastating ones, I'm saying, like the ones that we don't want to visit, if we're able to have the courage to go back to that particular time in our life, to imagine and see ourselves and feel all those emotions we're going through, but take the wisdom and the light that we've gained today and bring it back, kind of like an older mentor to that younger version of ourself, and tell our younger self, hey, it's going to be okay. Trust me when I say everything's going to be okay. Um, you can let go of the fear. You can let go of the anxiety. Like, you're going to be okay. You are so loved. You are so loved. You are so loved. I love you. You are loved unconditionally, right? You can then actually, and you can feel and see the shift in that younger version of yourself. Boom. That right there instantly will heal the rest of your timeline and your future reality. Okay, do you guys see that? So there's, you can actually go and visit. It's called, whatever you want to do, inner child work,
Yeah.
timeline work, all that kind of stuff. But that's a way you can actually, right? You have to go back and visit, and all it does is you go into a meditation, okay, and you take yourself back to that particular moment, and you have to get to the particular moment where you felt the major thing occurred, or where you realized something occurred, right? All of the emotions you had in that moment, and really go to them. Imagine yourself, see yourself, right? Feel all of those things, but then bring in unconditional love, bring in forgiveness, bring in the Ho'oponopono, even, right? Thank you, or I'm sorry, thank you.
Sorry, thank you, please forgive me, something like
There
that.
you
Yeah.
go. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive. And if you do that to that version of yourself, right, everything will shift from there on out. It's one of the most powerful techniques that we can use, and I think it's a really relevant one. So thank you for bringing that up, Jess.
Anyway, I love that you went into that, Brandon, because it sparked like and you talked about it, forgiveness, right? But it sparked, like, it took me back to. I'll just give my own example because
Yeah, please.
so like when I was a kid, I don't know. I guess I have this very vivid memory of, like, I upset my dad and he grabbed me by the throat, like slammed me against the wall,
Hmm.
right? And it was like super traumatic for a kid. Um, and just as you were going through that, and I've gone through this memory before and worked through it, but it just, what came to me in that moment was like forgiveness, right? Forgiveness for myself as a little kid, right? For whatever, like not knowing better, or because we get in this mindset of like, oh, I if I was different, that wouldn't have happened to me,
Right.
right? But
Right.
forgiving yourself for the way you were, right? Given the circumstances of your life up until that point,
Yep.
right? And the same is true. What came up for me is the same is true about like forgiving my dad, right? Or forgiving a parent. It's like they were doing the best they could with the resources they have, and reflecting on it, it's like, oh, my parents never really had like the emotional resources to handle my upset in a healthy way, and that's okay. Um,
That's beautiful.
so that's what came through for me when you were going into that explanation, and I thought I would just share that and kind of like my own inner processing around forgiveness. And
I think that's beautiful, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think it brings it like as an example on a personal level for people to relate to. Something that they may have went to around went through as well, and how we've navigated that, right? How we've personally kind of dealt with those things and shifted it. How did you shift, by the way? So you said that was a thing, and then you worked on forgiveness. Now, what changed for you today and moving forward after you did that process, so people know?
uh, I guess I don't really have 100% clarity on what changed or what was different. But I would say, um, you're not feeling like upset about it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I still like have these feelings of like, upset with my parents, right? We all do, right? Like, why couldn't my parents have done this
Yeah.
differently? And that's a
Yeah.
big part of, to me, like the healing process, right? Is family. Um, and so it's like coming to a place where it's like, oh, my parents were doing the best they could with the resources they had, and it's not because I wasn't lovable, right? It's just it happened,
Yeah.
right? But I'm still my parents still love me, right? And I'm still loved. But I think as a kid we can associate this, like we get into these. I guess the integration is like not blocking off certain ways of behaving,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I learned as a kid like certain ways of behaving gonna were not gonna produce love,
Yep.
right? And we all have different patterns for how that plays off, right? Oh, like if I do this, my parents aren't gonna they're gonna love me, right? Of course, but they're not. I'm not going to get that approval,
Right.
right? If I behave a certain way,
Right.
right? If I behave this way, my dad's going to grab me by the throat and slam me against the wall. Like I can never have that feeling again.
Right.
I am never have. So it's like, to me, I guess as I unravel this, it's like allowing myself to have those feelings without the fear that they're wrong, bad, or make me unlovable,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
integrating those feelings and allowing them to be okay,
Yeah.
allowing that inner child part of myself to be accepted and loved. It's like, I don't know, I guess it's like you're reparenting yourself.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, man, just, I mean, if you don't mind going a little deeper, so what was the way you were acting to have that effect happen to you, right? Of your dad taking you by the throat, slamming against the wall. Do you remember what emotion or way of being you were in that caused that then you had to unravel there?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the catalyst. Like, I was very upset. I don't remember the details because it's a long time ago, but I remember I was very upset, and like my mom asked me to close the door, and like I said no or something like that, and then my dad got super upset that I wasn't listening to my mom, or I said something mean to my mom, um, and then like grabbed me and slammed me against the wall.
Mhm.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of maybe, I don't know what this would be, what the essence of this would be, but maybe it was, do you remember what it was you said to your mom or what, like how that came to be? Was it just out of
I,
anger or what was it out of?
yeah, I don't remember really. I mean, I was probably angry at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
yeah, I asked that because I think that's a big one for men especially, right? Is like that repression of anger, especially right now. Um, like, why is that occurring? You know, and why are men? You know, why? Where is this anger or repression of it? Because it can go one of two ways, right? Either you just repress all of it and it kind of bubbles up and you kind of staunch that side of yourself off, you know, which anger is also fire, it's passion, it's drive, right? It's the juice of life. Or you're just, you know, you can go the other way and just be an extremely angry person at the world. And um, anyways, I just think there's a big thing around men and this kind of full
yeah,
embrace of that part of ourselves because it's
yeah,
scary, you know,
yeah,
and
totally.
people get scared when we get angry, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
simultaneously, like for me, I got the message that I wasn't allowed to be angry,
mm-hmm.
right? But then my dad would get angry, like road rage, and
Right.
he would just get angry, and it was like very conflicting message around like anger,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Yeah.
that's what happens, culturally too. It's like with this very like weird perception of anger. I think it helps to like you know remove the label and just think about it as an energetic state, right? And
Yeah.
it's actually like considered a pretty like high energetic state, even though it can be very like destructive. Um,
Mm.
like for instance, like the Sedona method teaches an energy it, scale, which is like apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, courageousness, acceptance, peace, right? But anger is like pretty high up on the scale.
Mm.
To like kind of go with your point of
Yeah.
around the concept.
Yeah. And are you talking about in terms of the vibration or the
Yeah,
utility or the power of the? So anger is higher up in terms of the utility of it or the state,
right,
the benefits that it brings. Is that right?
right.
Okay.
It's a more active, energetic state,
Oh,
right? Like
interesting.
someone who's angry isn't necessarily just gonna like lay around in bed in an apathetic state all day. They're like a lot of angry people are really motivated to change the world,
Yeah.
and like that can be very positive,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure there's plenty of angry people who have changed the world in a positive way.
Yeah, one that comes to mind is like you know, and I don't know how much he was known for this, but like Steve Jobs apparently was not to slam the man here, but apparently was a very angry individual, like you know, behind closed doors and within his company, and I know he passed away from cancer, which some people can see as a form of built up anger or resentment, right? But he definitely, in his way, changed the world because he was so driven by it, at least, or something. So that's a great one. And I think anyone in the chat here that can relate, maybe to feeling apathetic or not having any drive or motivation or just feeling lost, anger might be the thing to look at. Is there any areas in your life where you have that repression of anger that would give you the life energy to be able to change stuff or to move forward, you know?
Project made a great point. She said that's why when I was severely depressed a year ago, I really appreciated being angry because at least there's fuel or utility behind it. I
Yeah.
think you painted
Yeah.
like the perfect picture. It's like, oh yeah, like you can get shit done when you're angry. Not that we want to like stew in an anger state, but recognizing that it's like it's energy and motion that has a power to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the only thing so we have a couple of comments here. Anger is destructive. Someone says I forgive. You know, I think as T was saying, these emotions, they have their certain utilities. Now, if you go too far off the scales with any of them, right, they can lead to some not so good stuff. And of course, anger being more fiery is going to be destructive in excess. But also, we can't throw it out with the bathwater. We have to know, like, this is an energy that has a certain utility. And I'll just be honest, you know, that's a lot of what's been awakening in the collective here, just on my channels generally, has been, you know, anger and motivation to change their lives and the world through breakups with people, right, that have driven a lot of feelings of anger and resentment. And it's kind of the thing that's, I feel, woken up a deeper sense within ourselves to want to change, to you know, get fueled and motivated to change. So really good stuff there. I love that about anger. And of course, the other thing is if you're too over angry, right, or if it goes into excess, and it is getting destructive, that's when you do bring in that power of forgiveness. I would say to kind of, I mean, you want to be in forgiveness regardless. And I think anger and forgiveness are two different things. But anyways, any thoughts on that, T, when you bring forgiveness into the picture and how that would work?
I'll just say kind of what's coming through is like the end goal isn't to be angry and like love being angry,
Yeah.
right? But it's like when we resist anger, it persists because we're in a fight with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if we
Yeah.
accept it for what it is, really see the true picture, that it's a it's a high energy state. It can be very destructive, right? As someone pointed out, it can be very destructive, right? Which is like the point of my practice and a lot of in the practice I follow is like accept, integrate, let go of anger so that you can move to higher energy states.
Yes.
Right? And those higher energy states being courageousness, acceptance, and peace.
That's
Right.
beautiful. Yep.
But part of the process of moving up in energy is one, accepting anger for what it is, right? Not resisting it, right? Because it tends to be one of the ones we resist the most. Accepting it for what it is and realizing it's actually a sign of progress, right? Both within yourself
Mm.
and like within the collective as a whole, right? The fact that the collective seems to be a lot more angry, like, is actually a sign that it's moving up in energy, right? And that has very destructive consequences.
Yep.
But it both internally and what's shown in the world, it's showing that there's a rising up in consciousness,
Yep.
right? And not that anger is the end goal, but it's an important part of the process of like accepting that space. Um,
Totally.
so that's kind of what I guess forgiveness would be forgiving yourself for for being angry, or I don't
Yeah,
know.
I love that context you put it in, man. Because it is, and I love that you're using the term collective. By the way, it's
That's
wonderful.
for you,
I
Brandon.
know, I know, I know. I'm like, he's never used this term before, but he's resonating with the chat. He knows the chat, you know, knows the term collective. So I love that. But and when we say collective, we just mean like society overall, the energy of people generally, the themes and lessons we're all going through at the same time, right? So the collective. But I think anger is a big one, and it's like, especially with, you know, and I'm not going to get too far into this, but a lot of the, we'll say, dark energy, or quote unquote evil that is being exposed at the higher levels or deeper levels of society, and particularly how we're being run in deeper levels of government. I think people are really, it's helping people to rise up and to regain an identity around their passion and what they stand for through anger. And so I love that you put in the context of like, it's actually a positive thing, and it's actually a higher level of consciousness rather than a bad thing. So
Right. Well,
very
and
well
it's
put.
also too, right? It's manifesting consciously, right? Which
Mm.
which brings it into space of awareness where it can be healed and released.
Hmm.
Whereas repressed anger is it's still happening behind the scenes,
Right.
right? But just unconsciously. So like
Mm.
when it manifests externally, when it manifests consciously, it's an opportunity, right? Any
Yep.
emotion that manifests in your life experience is an opportunity to heal, to grow, to integrate,
Yep.
right? And the more and more you can accept what is, accept yourself exactly as you are in the moment, right here, right now, the more free you're going to get. The more free you're going to get, the more elevated your consciousness can be, the more elevated your emotional states can be, and you're going to help everyone and everything around
I love that. Wow. Wow. How powerful that anger as a
you.
mode or a pathway to freedom is the biggest thing I got, and I totally resonate with that. It's like in some ways, honestly, the more angry I've allowed myself to be over this last year, in all honesty, the more free I've also become. Of because anger has helped me realize that like I have the power, and I'm not going to stand for anything less than completely changing my life and the way that I make money and my own ability to do what I want in my life. And it's come through anger, and that's basically what's pushed me.
Yeah.
You know.
But I'll point out, even though you've been embracing that in yourself, right, letting it come through, letting it be processed, letting it be healed,
Hmm.
you're not an angry person,
Right.
right?
Right.
Your base state isn't like aggro branded. Like you've never been aggro branded, right?
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
always been very caring, compassionate, like wholehearted individual, and it just so happens that you do have anger and resentment within you, and we all do,
Yeah.
right? You can't be human and not be angry about something.
Very true. It's very true.
You might as well admit it and be done with it.
I would absolutely agree. I would absolutely agree. And in fact, it's funny you say that because there was, I'd say there's periods of time in my life where I had that repressed within me so much where I just I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to admit it was there, even though there was a lot of stuff that happened in my life that pissed me off. I just repressed that. And that actually, funny enough, you told that story. It comes from a very similar type of story with me. I won't get into that here, but when I was a child, basically being punished for what I would say is anger, and then putting that away. I think I've told you that story, anyways, T. But yeah, you're right. I think to be human is also to be angry, and so it's all the question I would ask is like, if you're not experiencing any anger, or if you're not recognizing any anger within you somewhere deep inside, what is it that you are maybe missing or not fully looking at or embracing within yourself if it is a natural state of consciousness? And I don't think we're saying you have to be angry to be alive or it's a prerequisite, but where and when is the last time you have experienced anger and why? And what is that trying to motivate you to do and to change about you, your life, society? Where does it want you to go? What's the wisdom from that particular emotion within you? And I think that's a very powerful question we can pose to the collective about maybe the next steps they can take in their life.
Great question. I got about 5 more minutes, but I
Oh,
wanted to
beautiful.
touch on that with you for just a quick second.
Yeah, yeah.
What came to me while you were saying that was like, you don't have to. Nothing physical has to happen for you to feel your anger, right? You don't have
Right.
to have like a moment where you like throw a glass at the wall or like shatter something. You might like, hey, like I've definitely had moments in the past year where like I've like hit myself because I just got so I just all this fucking anger came up and I was like, I don't know where to put this. Like I literally
Yeah,
don't know where
yeah,
to put this.
yeah.
Um, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't just because you're feeling that anger and processing it doesn't mean it has to like it can be easy to get this mindset like, oh, if I feel this anger, I'm gonna be an angry person and people are gonna love me, it's gonna be scary and whatever. It was like you can do that in a way that's like healing and gratifying
Mm.
and not scary, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's I'm so glad we got to this topic with you, T. I think it's so relevant. And I think it's important for us to talk about it. So thank you for being willing to go to those places. I want to start to close out here and, shut the session down. We've gone for, I mean, honestly, T, it's been 2 hours. Can you believe that?
I can't. Time flies.
Time literally flew by. I'm like, how have we gone 2 hours already? That's crazy. But I think such an amazing conversation. Thank you guys in the chat for asking your questions, for being involved. Claire is here on TikTok. Taylor should get on TikTok. She's demanding.
Y'all gotta teach me how these fancy apps work.
I told you guys, Taylor's just a master soul just coming to human life. Like, how do we do this again? What is TikTok?
Who wants to manage my TikTok?
I'm sure we can find some volunteers.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Let me end with this. I really want to end with this. If you guys have any asks of Taylor specifically, okay, because you and me talk all the time, chat. So if you guys have any asks of Taylor, what you'd like to see more from him, what you'd like for him to talk about, or what you're curious about that he can shed some light on, let us know some ideas here in the chat so he can get some inspiration, right, for his channels.
To you.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest gifts that a man can receive from people generally, but I know most of my audience here is feminine, from the feminine, is that, call to inspiration, inspiring action. Jen says we need more people to give wisdom to the world. Sounds like a perfect job for you, T. Silence says, thank you so much for this awesome yawk. I'm assuming she means talk. Jess says, thank you both for your time and wisdom. You're welcome. Kemi says, thank you for your time, guys. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you guys all for your time and for being here, because, I know to me, I've never done this before, and the chat was like a really awesome experience to it feels like I'm sitting here in this room by myself technically, but it feels like there's this connected energy that we're all kind of having this conversation together, even though it's just me and you talking.
It does indeed. Yeah, that's one of the things I've become really just excited about with this whole thing, is just being able to talk with people and be connected with their energy. We got someone on TikTok asking for the email again, so I'm trying to put it in the chat. Let me know if this is right. It's Astrico, right? Astrico@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so if you guys want to email Taylor, it's Astrico, ASTRICO.
ATS.
Oh, I'm sorry.
ATSRICO.
Got it. Okay, there we go. There we go. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
The second one, ATSRICO@gmail.com. That's Taylor's email. If you guys want to get in contact with him, again, he's doing songs on Tuesday, and I'll let you speak it. T. Anything else you want to let people know?
I'm doing songs on Tuesday, and I'm doing conversations with Brandon on Fridays.
Oh, okay. We're making this a thing. I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. And even if we do it just once a week, or even once every other week for an hour or two, I think this is definitely going to be a regular conversation, and I think it's going to be fun. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate your time, your energy here. Thanks for your questions. Go follow T and email him to get in touch for all his things. And I will see you guys very soon. Thank you guys again.
All right. Take
care.
Brandon.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Bye.